Well, howdy everybody at Steve 1000 Years Homes. Welcome aboard. So I'm doing a little outdoor work today. I've got these pieces of tin for the sawmill that I have, and I'm going to be working on these, making them whole. They're a little bent up. I'm going to get them around. In addition to that, I bought some Eastwood Rust Converter. Now this should have a little silver to it so that I could get it back to looking somewhat like the original galvanized. The galvanization's all gone, so that means these will rust up if I don't do something. So the color on this is platinum. Normally Eastwood Rust Converter is black, but I've got it here in platinum. So these are the ridge caps that come off of Camp Swift barracks houses. In the 1940s, probably 42 I would guess, they built a very large military base here in 108 days. It took them 108 days to build it here in Bastrop County. And Bastrop went from a little tiny, 1,200 people to 90,000 soldiers. Which changed the whole world back then. It was real fancy gates. If you drove by Camp Swift right now, you'd see late model Humvees and National Guard, this and that's there. Nothing fancy anymore. It's still got like 11,000 acres or something. It was 50 or 60,000 acres in the 40s. One interesting thing during all of that is they brought a lot of German prisoner of wars right here to Bastrop. I always wondered what happened to them. About 10,000 German prisoner of wars were brought here and taken care of. But when they decommissioned the Camp Swift there, all of the buildings got moved. They really did. They didn't just tear them down. Most of the houses were picked up and carried away. And indeed, this came from one of those houses. In the last 10 years, the owners bought a little row house. Listen, they look charming in the pictures. People buy the row houses. I had a little cigar style house, a pier beam. It didn't even have, it had like oak logs underneath it for piers. And I went up on the ridge cap and was walking around on that, doing a little maintenance on it, and termites came out through the ridge cap, and I knew that house was doomed. Indeed, that's what happened to this one. It was a large house, so it was probably an officer's house or a mess hall or something, and they started to remodel it, and they got onto half of the house, and the termites had eaten it to death. This is not Formosan termites. We have non-nesting termites and terrestrial termites here, and anyway, the poor owner, they lost on this particular one just a little bit. These aren't in bad shape for considering, what is it, 1940 to now is, oh gosh, 60 years, 80 years, 80 years old that I've taken care of today. I'm not going to get real fancy on them, things like that, where the screw heads had poked through. I'm just going to, tamp down and straighten them up a little bit so I can stack them and then paint them and go forward from there. But isn't it something that which was considered low value to our ancestors, like these tin caps? Camp Swift was built in 108 days. They weren't out there looking for the highest quality parts. And 80 years later, that kind of vintage has high value to us. We could not get such nice things for any decent money. Anyway, I saw these on Craigslist and drove over there with a $100 bill in my pocket and visited with the gal for a while who took one of them old row houses, 80-year-old row houses, and really made a very nice place out of it. She lost half the house to the termites. She had to tear it down. Wasn't worth saving. Same problem happened to me too as well. I had an old row house, couldn't save it. Cigar style house. Barracks or some such thing. And anyway, had a really nice visit with her. So she turned around and threw in just a whole bunch of other stuff, gutters and downspouts, and I offered her a little more money, and she said, "Nah, I just need to get them out of the yard." So here I am. Keep your eyes out on Facebook Marketplace and whatnot. You can find really nice deals. But these, if I don't get that Eastwood on them, they would fall apart. They're going on my sawmill, and I'm trying to get my sawmill around before the next big rain so I could park some things under it. The last storm, hurricane that came in here, I had a little wedding chapel that I bought online, one of those wedding tents, big 20-footer, 14-foot watt high, you know, just your classic, you know, banquet hall tent. And oh man, the last hurricane tore it to pieces. We'll walk back, take a look at it. And so I'm trying to get the sawmill done so I could put one, the sawmill underneath it, but two, I built it long enough it's got a little extra storage, and I'm hoping if I'm clever that I can fix that up. Now as I'm working on these, I'm feeling good about that. I noticed there's a flare on the end here, and so what I don't want to do is get these flipped around. That end doesn't, so I'm learning now that probably they stack a particular way, and I'll need to pay attention to that particular way as I'm repurposing those. So my sawmill is probably 30 foot long now. My these are 2 foot apiece. 1, 2, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There's 20 feet. 16, 17. All right, I got 34 feet, so I have enough ridge that I'm going to treat them all. I see that there's cobwebs in them. I got to wire brush them and whatnot before I paint them too as well. But oh, it felt good to sit underneath the shade and do a little bit of work on this. Yeah, that row house for me, I called it my hillbilly villa when I bought it. And I had ideas of making a quaint little bed and breakfast and then a big house behind. And I walked up on that ridge and there it was just filled with termites. I went, ah man, that was more of a project that I want. That was many years before I built 1,000-year home, many years ago, 20, 25, 30 years ago now. But I bet you that factors into it. While I'm building a house that'll last 1,000 years. So the shipping containers I got, they have 1-inch thick tropical plywood floors. Nothing can eat them. They've been treated. Core 10 steel. I'm trying to build something that will last 1,000 years. Now this sawmill, once I get it done and get these fixed up, I'm hoping somebody will have it for 80 years. I'm building it out of hand-cut cedar right from the property. And I'm really hoping that it'll last 80 years, and then somebody will say see high value in it. See high value in it. Most of these are in really good shape. I'm surprised. None of them have rust all the way through. The bottoms are pretty good. You know, I've got, if I did close it in, it's got the ridge fence in it already. So that feels good. Just a little bent up from being removed. Whoever did it did a very nice job removing them. Anyway, I had a real nice visit with that gal, and we visited quite a while. She had kin and military kin and herself from the area. So that felt like real good harmony. My dad, when he came back from World War II, he went and bought the dressers and stuff from the barracks. Not his dresser. Well, maybe his dresser. And I got the barracks dresser right now. And I love the way when I open it up that the handles clink, 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 clink real well. Anyway, it was the only thing I wanted from my father after he passed away was his dresser and the tripod that camera's sitting on right now. Alright. I'm not planning to bang on these very much. Where they got little dents, I'm leaving little dents. The only thing I'm doing is just uncrimping where they've been probably dropped. I'm going to guess dropped on the end. A lot of these little Texas towns, boy, during the war, they were just really happening joints. Really happening joints. I get a kick. I don't have any pictures of Camp Swift back in the day in the 40s, but you Google it yourself and look, and hopefully you'll find some. But main gates, real fast, overnight, you know, 100 days, had a city of 90,000 young men marching off to war. A lot of gold stars in the windows for their mamas. But yeah, they really, in the meantime, really had it going on. Camp Swift back in the day in the 40s had a shooting on the camp, not related to anything other than MPs and drunken boys. I think they've never have solved the murder of it. But I imagine you get 80,000 boys coming and going, you're likely to have a problem. I don't really remember a whole lot about it. That's not bad for a story. There's military bases right now that can't seem to go a week without a murder. so awful. Right here in Texas, they give it a new name. Once they get too many of soldiers murdered and women murdered, they give it a new name. Hope it all goes away. And they gotta give it new leadership. That's what's going on. Somebody's not doing their job, and/or is being paid off by the very gangs that are trying to infiltrate our military, or just not paying attention. But up there, Fort Hood, which they went back and renamed it, big problems there. I wanted to rename it personally until they figured out how to make it fly right. Would have left it just renamed, rebranded. That's my 2 cents on that whole matter. Can't have soldiers, all the good soldiers, mired by ones with bad intentions and bad names. Well, people should have, as best as possible, good memories in the community about a military base. It's hard to have a military base. I could not imagine going from a little burg of, 12,000, 15,000 to 90,000 soldiers. I don't even know how many support staff that would take. Another 90,000, probably. So they're just counting soldiers. World War II, and they added it to peak 90,000. And then I often wondered, and I never have looked it up, what they did with all those German POWs. Probably living right here in the county now. Probably they have to change their ways. After the war, we just probably let them loose. I imagine once the war is done, that's probably what happened. Would have cost us money to fly them back to Germany. I don't think we would have wanted to do that. Spend $1 on that. Man, these are cleaning up really nice. Just a little bit of damage. Now, from you on the camera, they might look bad, but you cannot go and buy tin like this anymore. I'm telling you. It's 80 years old because it's thick. Look, I only got nipped once by it. Now that I'm doing a lot of, not all of them had the flare, so I'm suspecting as they pried them up off of each other, that some of them they pried up and put that little flare in there, because some of them don't have a flare at all. And again, I'm not going to get real fancy and try to knock every dent and ding out of here. I'm just making sure that they stack nicely on top of each other. Some of them need a little help. Still, I can see that. Even after I get done straightening them. Well, it is what it is. These don't have a lot of holes in them. Each side, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. I'm going to put them back together with stainless steel screws is what I'll probably use. With the little rubber grommets on them. I don't think I have any roofing screws. I'll look and see if I have tin roofing screws, but I mostly, because of my Parkinson's shake, I mostly use screws and not nails. It's just a little easier for me. And it also gives me a better detent when the screw makes it down. I know I'm there, whereas if I start bending a nail because I missed it, then all I do is keep bending a nail. real pleased that I got the gutters for this, because I imagine a 14 by 30 building, every inch of rain, that's going to give me 300 or 400 gallons of water I can harvest off of there. And I will put a rain barrel on there, carboy of some kind or another. So real grateful. All right, all of these need a wire. I'm not going to wire wheel them. I'm just going to brush them off. I want to get painting, get that going too as well. All of them straightened out good enough. Good enough. They weren't badly damaged at all. All right, let me do the opposite process and clean these up. I'm going to get some eyeglasses on. I don't want to wear any of this stuff. Originally, I thought that was rust, but I almost think this was painted red. Well, that makes sense. Well, that makes me feel better. That might not even be rust on there, y'all. That could just be years and years and years of pollen buildup and roof debris buildup. I don't know. Hard for me to tell. Doesn't matter. It's going to get painted anyway. I want it to last another 100 years. Well, I don't have to paint both sides. This still has the galvanizing still on it. Well, I'll just come in and paint the edges. Paint one side, save a little time, a little paint. This stuff, paint isn't cheap anymore. And this is especially expensive. Now, I got a full gallon in there of the same color, so I want to see how far a quart goes. The full gallon, I think, was $210, and this here was 50 or 60 bucks. I'll put, I don't keep much track of, you know, I buy what I buy, when I buy it, and I use it, and I buy the best, right? So there's a small premium for that. But on the other end, that's how you make a house high value. You protect it from the wind and the rain. This case, I'm talking about a sawmill that'll be built out of cedar. Honest to goodness, it could last 200 years or longer. But given a coat of paint on there, that's going to get me a little way. So even if somebody forgets about it one day and it ends up in the weeds for 40 years, somebody else can come by and get it out of the weeds and rescue it. But yeah, very expensive stuff. So, but yeah, I don't think I need. I cannot decide if that was painted. That's got to be. Oh man, I don't know. Hard for me to tell if the galvanized is on top or the rust on top. I don't see drips though and whatnot. It's just really good patina. That's all that is. Really good patina. Now some of y'all might be angry at me for painting this even, but listen, it's gonna look good. It's gonna look just like that. That's a platinum color. And I don't want patina to turn to rust, and that's what'll happen. These will eat through and just rust up. And I don't want that at all. So I've got to be taken care of. I'm not building a shabby chic little dresser or something. I'm building a functional home. If I was building shabby chic, something decorative, then maybe I would just stop as soon as I do this and put a clear coat on it. Call it lovely. This will be a real functional sawmill, though. Not a not a cute thing. Well, all sawmills are cute, but you're following me, right? One nice thing about working early spring in Texas, no scorpions, no black widows, just me and the heat and the stars above. Yeah, it's rust, I can tell on this piece. Well, I got my tetanus shot, so I'm not too worried. But I didn't want 80-year-old soldier dust in my eye. God only knows what them boys were up to back then. Well, I think you get the point. This is going to take me a little longer than just gabbing about Camp Swift. Probably put you on stop motion, walk you through this real fast. But I want you to feel my pain while you're doing that. I got to do each one of these wire brushed. Well, let's do a little stop motion here instead of playing a song or whatever. So the other thing I like about doing things that are mindless like this, not only did I think about work and do some work in my mind, but gives me, I spend a little bit of time thinking about those people who crossed my life, and I've benefited from, especially when I'm doing a nostalgic project like this. These things would have rusted away in the ground. And here, with this, a little bit of elbow grease and a little moment, and, you know, I got to think about my dad and his soldiering ways and the things he told me. And he was in Louisiana. That's where his basic training was. So he wasn't in Texas, but still, these were 18, 19, 20. My dad was the old man at 21. So, you know, he technical sergeant, explosives, that's where he went. So, all right. So, looky, I changed into my Bob Ross shirt because now I'm ready to paint all these. It's the same day, it's the same time, but I've respected my woman, and I'm not wrecking a brand new shirt in my fancy cowboy hat. I got my old cowboy hat. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and pop that Eastwood off there. But it occurs to me a bunch of people are not subscribers, and they probably have no idea what I'm talking about with Sawmill and tent and canvas and all of this and that. Let's take a real quick break before I start painting. Stretch my legs, but take a look at what I'm talking about. This is that wedding canopy I told you about. It's 20 foot long, 10 foot wide or so. I think it's 10 by 18. And 14 feet high. That's what I think it is. I bought this in August of 2023. It's now April of 2025. So, and it was okay until my calves came in and they tore out one of the flaps and moved in. That didn't make me happy. As soon as that happened, you know, the dynamics changed in this and it just started, you know, rumbling in the wind. But it's so brittle, it just flew apart. But I've had 2 hurricane force storms in the last 2 weeks. Totally ripped that apart. So all of that's good stuff. I mean, all of that's good stuff. I've got a Pioneer dry goods shelf there, right? Little cannons, cool things, bric-a-brac, stuff I don't want ruined any more than it is. All my doors, glasses in there. I got a pump handle. All right, so there you see my problem. Now let's look at the sawmill, which will be my solution. So this is a sawmill built out of a ridgepole, a 28 foot, 30 foot cedar log across the top. And I poured and put cedar post in there to make it strong. The ends of this will be wrapped in tin. Both ends. This will be open for the sawmill to put logs in. And So I've got storage, and like that shelf will be put back there. I could make that back wall permanent because I don't have to pull out of it. There's the sawmill right there. It's 18 foot, and this thing's 32 foot. So that's my solution to all of that problem. So now you know what I'm talking about when I say a sawmill. The tin will go on top of the ridge poles up there when I get those cut off and secured. And I'll fix that all up. It'll look pretty darn good. So that's the project right there. And getting the tin around is essential for that. One, I don't know how much tin I have. But I see old tin all the time on Craigslist and whatnot, so I'm not too worried about finding some more old tin. But the ridge caps I don't see all the time. So anyway, let's go back, get those painted up. Every now and then I crash the chickens, and I think they're planning something. That just got things going on that aren't me. Those gals give me about an egg a day right now. I'm rich, egg rich. All right, let me see if a quart's enough here. All right, and then I don't have to break into my gallon. I'll show you all this so you can screen capture it. All right, Eastwood, I buy it direct from the company most of the time. They've got sometimes 50% off. Right now, Amazon was running a special, spring special or something, so they gave me the best deal, plus free shipping. So I bought these on Amazon. I'll put the links down below on Amazon, and also the company itself, Eastwood. Now, they do a lot of commercial stuff, so you'll find welders and industrial stuff in there. But this paint, 3 times stronger than original. That is true. That's not just relative. Metallic silver finish, that's what I'm after. Applied directly over surface rust. I didn't have to brush those off, but you saw they were dirty with, you know, pollen and spiders and everything. People who say this doesn't work, their problem is they're putting it over unrusted metal. You've got to have the iron oxide to trigger the reaction, the chemical reaction in here to make it bind. And when people clean too much, that's their problem. Heat resistant to 350, yes sir, and I could apply it with a brush or spray. I'm going to use a brush today. Give it a little bit of that charm. Now this does have a VOC to it. This isn't your nice little latex that you would do in your house. Alright, if you're going to do it, you need to have a respirator. I've got the world's cheapest brush here, but I'm not even worried about that. Well, I had to free up a little memory on that camera. I decided to wear gloves just to make washing my hands easier. This is, as I mentioned before, not a water-soluble friendly thing. This is a genuine old-timey. It's got a VOC about it. You can smell with your nose. Anyway, so I put some gloves on just so it comes off my hands easier. Alright, so a lot of people don't like these Amazon brushes. These basic brushes, they're junk. They fall apart. Look, there's little hairs in there. See the little hairs? You could not use these inside the house at all, but a bunch of hairs there. But I buy them by the bulk for outdoor, painting a pipe, old fence. All of that works for me, and I'm happy to do it. So I buy them by the box, I use them up, I don't gotta clean them, I don't have to feel bad. But I use better brushes inside, and but I never go so high that I can't, I have to wash a brush. I never go that high. What I do is I put a brush in a bag, and I hold on to it through the whole project. And when I'm done with that project, and usually my projects are pretty big, I throw the brush away. Or I buy junk brushes like this that don't need to be cleaned at all, and when I clean up, I just throw everything away. So as I'm painting these, I'm noticing all kinds of details that weren't readily apparent in the rust. Like there's a little crimp right here for both strength and decorative purposes. And then across the top, I see little knurls across the top. And they didn't have to put those knurls in there. They did that because it pleased them. Entirely pleased them. Nowadays, they're debating whether or not they want to spend the extra milliounce of energy and the extra, 2 seconds to put a little bit of extra in a part. They want it to wear out. Planned obsolescence is something that they think is a good thing. And I don't think it's a good thing at all. Quality is still an important job. Anyway, I'm enjoying these. I'll look later on when I'm narrating this video back to y'all during some of the stop motion and such. I'll look and see if I could price this out, see how much these kind of ridge tins are. Now naturally it wouldn't have the story, it wouldn't have the history, wouldn't have all the good stuff, but I'm just talking pure raw economic mercenary value. I'll do a quick analysis of that. But all kinds of little beauty inside of this thing. Yeah, all of these are better looking than that very first one I painted. Yeah, I'm going to try to get these all done before the night. Got rain on the way, so I want to get these curing so that I can have them all done. All right, everybody, you get the point. I'm going to go ahead and put you on stop motion. Give you the satisfaction of watching me paint these up. Do a little narration over the top as things hit me. Maybe I'll calculate how much these are, but I love that. These little ridges in there and that they're coming out. That's so cool. There's ones across here that come out when I paint it. Really cool. Really happy with it. And this stuff is hard, let me tell you. It's worth the money. And those are going to look just like they did in 1942 when they were originally put up. All right, let me put you on stop motion to finish this out. All right, so while I do the stop motion here, I did some math off camera here, and it turned out that I paid $100 for these ridge caps, and when I showed up, she threw in a lot more tin. So I'm going to say the ridge caps were $70 for these 1942 ridge caps. And then at my Eastwood, it was $74 for a quart. That is $74. But I only used about a quarter of a quart, which really surprised me. So that's another $25. So right now I'm at $75 for the restoration project. The brush was inconsequential. My time, I guess if I counted my time at $200 an hour or something, but I don't. What else would I have been doing? Just sitting around watching TV. So I'm going to say $75 is what I'm about. If I did all in and said it was a whole thing, it'd be $175. So I found some cheap 10-foot similar kind of ridge vents, but nothing with this kind of style, and not as thick either. And they were $60 a piece. So 34 feet would have been $180. So I'm at a break even or at half cost, but I have a much better product, a much better looking product, thicker product, and it turns out that, well, it kept me off the street and out of trouble. My parole officer would be happy. People sometimes wonder, I go mindless when I'm doing this kind of stuff, but I remember when I was thinking this time, I had a work problem that I'd been working on for a couple of days, and so my mind was writing code and doing work while not doing work, free thought. And I gotta say, today I fixed the problem, and part of that is being able to do this kind of work where my mind isn't constantly consumed with IT and technology. Anyway, there we go. I am super happy with this project, and thank you for watching. All right, well, there you go. A live application of Eastwood Silver Rust Inhibitor. Pretty nice. Let's take a look at this. So I counted 18 of them. So look at my cleanup. See, all I got is a brush and a pan that'll go in the trash and my soda bottle. All right, so I had to hunt around. They look brand new, don't they? So anyway, I had to hunt around to find places to put these. Fortunately, it's super calm. I think I'll walk out tonight after these have a chance to tack up and remove these from this branch. But there's the other pile. So I'm underneath cedar, so a little bit of cedar will drop. Look at all the needles, you know, we've been in a drought. So there might be a little character in there, I don't know. All right, but nevertheless, we took 80-year-old tin, restored it, found a little bit more decor on it, learned a little bit about history, and going to give it another 80-year run. That feels pretty good, doesn't it? All right, this is Steve at 1000 Year Homes. Like, subscribe, follow me along. Bye-bye.